Alright guys, what's up? New deck profile, one I'm very excited about. This is actually Zombie World. I haven't updated this in quite a while, and there's been a few developments, I would say, that have made the deck significantly more consistent. One very important one is a card called Ready Fusion. As I go through it, I'll show you this is a very, very important extender. On top of that, we actually have a new synchro monster to play with that will also make this significantly more consistent. I will show some videos, some combos at the end of this video because you guys seem to like the videos that have combos built into them. So I'll definitely show some of those. But if you want additional combos, just let me know in the comment section. Honestly, I could probably do zombie combos for an hour, just because there's just so many intricacies to this deck. I could probably do it forever, but I'll definitely show some combos at the end. So right off the bat, we play 3 copies of Unizombie. This is the most important card in the deck. It's definitely the most important starter in the deck. There's other important cards, obviously, but you want to see this in your opening hand as much as possible. It lets you discard a zombie, and it lets you send a zombie from deck. It also does some level modulation for synchro plays, but that does come in handy here and there, but mostly you just want it to send zombies to the graveyard. This is Sharonui Solitaire. This is basically an additional copy of Unizombie, which of course we just talked about how badly we needed. Basically you tribute this, and then you can special summon a Unizombie from deck. I think it's just a tuner with 0 defense, a zombie tuner with 0 defense, so you can actually summon Glow of Bloom with this. Not that you would want to, but you could. Next, we play 1 copy of Sharonui Spirit Master. This card's also pretty good. Mostly you play it just to banish it off of the Sharonui Swallow Slash and then pop an additional card. But this card actually has an additional cool effect where if you normal summon it, you can actually special summon a Sharonui monster from your hand or graveyard. Meaning you can normal summon this and you can summon out the Sharonui Solitaire. So if you draw if you draw both of them, like this card's not a brick, because if you draw it, you could just normal summon and then special summon this from hand, and then you have an instant Needle Fiber. Or you can discard this to the graveyard with, like for example, you can discard that to the graveyard with like a Jack. You can discard this with a Jacko Bulan to the graveyard, and then you can normal summon this and then bring this back, and you have a Jacko Bulan. Plus, you have the Sharonui Spirit Master and this, so you can go into Needle Fiber and do all types of plays just right off the bat. It's extremely consistent. It really helps the deck. It's totally not a brick. Like this is a card you don't want to draw because you'd rather keep it in your deck. But if you do draw it, it just kind of like helps extend plays. It's not a bad thing at all. Next, we play 3 copies of Mizuki. I used to play less of this, but this is more. This deck is like very much a mix of control and. It's very much a mix of control and combo, because you have like short burst combos that you constantly do, but you don't overdo it. Like I'm not playing the dangers. I don't overdo the combos, but you do some, like, like 6 monster summon combos. You don't overdo it, but you still play a lot of control cards, which makes it very good. But yeah, this is one of the greatest zombie cards ever printed. Banish, summon a zombie from the graveyard. Very good. Mizuki, integral to the combo, but again, extremely searchable. You only need to play 1. Gozuki. Basically what this has is an effect during the main phase where you can send a zombie monster from your deck to the graveyard. That's like an on the field effect. And then it has an additional effect where if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can banish another zombie monster in your graveyard and then special summon a zombie from your hand. Helps you spit out your hand. This card doesn't really get banished, so you don't have to play more copies of it. With regular Mizuki, you do have to play multiple copies. We play 2 copies of Doom King, the boss of the deck, level 8. It basically, when a zombie monster activates an effect, you can either banish a zombie on the field or graveyards, or you can negate that effect. The reason this card is so good is because obviously you have Zombie World, and Zombie World makes everything zombies in the graveyard and on the field. So if your opponent activates something, you can just banish their monster. If they activate something, you can just banish. Or you could just negate their effect. Also, you can do that to your own effect, so you could trigger your own zombie monsters, and when you trigger your own zombie monsters, you can also banish your opponent's cards, which is very helpful. Jacko Bulan, this is another form of graveyard disruption. It also puts a zombie in the graveyard because you discard to summon it, which is a really cool summoning condition. It really helps the deck. But definitely a very good card, and then you can take monsters from your opponent's graveyard, and it's good because they can, they'll activate something that reborns a monster, and you could just quick effect take that monster. Super helpful. Necroworld Banshee. This is another really good card. Basically what this card does is you can banish it to activate your field spell directly from the deck. That cannot be ashed because it activates from the deck. Super cool. And on top of that, if you have it on the field, it protects your field spell. 2 copies of Glow Up Bloom. Basically, when it hits the graveyard, banish, special summon, or search for a copy of basically of a zombie monster, level 5 or higher. You can either search or summon. If you have Zombie World, you summon. 3 copies of Ash. Excuse the rarities. They just will not make an ultimate rare of this card. But 3 copies of Ash. Not only is it already the best hand trap ever printed, because it's just extremely versatile, but on top of that, it's a zombie, so it has additional synergy in the deck. 2 copies of Ghost Bell. Very good in the format right now. Might even bump it up to 3. Like I said, very good in the format. And it just also it's a zombie, which is helpful, and it's a tuner, so you could just normal summon and go into Needle Fiber, just in case you have an issue with that. 1 copy of Artifact Scythe, which is somewhat a brick. You need it for the combo, but if you draw it, it's not the end of the world. It's not like, there's certain cards where if you draw it, you just lose, but no. This card, if you draw it, you just set it, and then you can still pop it, so it's no big deal. And you can actually, if anything, if you draw this, you can sometimes actually have a better play if you draw this card than if you don't draw this card. Because if you draw it, you just set it, and then you don't have to go into the Artifact Dagda. You can just go into a copy of Vampire Sucker. You don't even have to go into the Dagda because this is already on the field. Then we have 3 copies of Zombie World to start off the spells. 3 copies of Zombie World because obviously it's our field spell. Makes everything zombies, graveyard, and on the field. Monsters can be tributed. Very good. This card might actually be good. Is this good against Flunderies? I have to verify this with upper management, but I'm pretty sure that's actually better. That's actually pretty good against Flunderies because cards can't be tributed. 1 copy of Foolish Burial, the GOAT. Can't disrespect it, gotta play it. This is a new card. This was not in the last deck profile. Ready Fusion. This card's extremely important. We'll talk about this right now. Basically, you pay 1,000 life points and you summon a level 6 or lower non-effect fusion monster. But it just so happens, let me just go get it real quick. It's right here. I'm playing it in the extra deck. There is a very good non-effect fusion monster, and its name is Sea Monster Theseus. Number 1, it's a zombie, already plus. Number 2, it's level 5, which means you can use the Unizombie. You can use the Unizombie and this to make Synchro 8s, which is a very deep pool. On top of it, it's a tuner, which is very important. The reason this card is so important and Ready Fusion is so important for the deck is because sometimes you have seriously bad situations where you'll, like, for example, right, you'll normal summon Unizombie, and your opponent, you'll activate a fact, your opponent will, for example, they'll impermanence. You can activate the Ready Fusion, and then you can just summon a zombie monster out. And now you can go into Crystron Needle Fiber, and you can just summon the Glow Up Bloom and just start your plays off just like that. You start going off of your plays, and it's no big deal. It's like that Ash never even did anything, that Impermanence. It's like those cards never even did anything. Because you could just basically throw another zombie on the board and just continue to play like nothing even happened. That's why Ready Fusion's so good. Also, sometimes you have awkward hands where maybe you draw like hand traps and spawn trap cards, stuff like that. You can actually, like, let's say you draw Mizuki and Ready Fusion, you can still, like, combo off like crazy, because you can just normal summon Mizuki, activate the Ready Fusion, and then summon the Sea Monster Theseus. You have a tuner, non-tuner, you can go into Vampire Sucker, you can go into a Needle Fiber, and then you just combo off just like that. It's a very good extender. I like it more than playing the Dangers, because the problem with the Dangers is sometimes you actually discard stuff you want. You put copies of Zombie World in the graveyard. You don't have unlimited copies of Zombie World, and it actually hurts the deck to lose extra copies of Zombie World. So I really like this card because it's really just a very low cost extender, and all you really have to do is add 1 card to the extra deck and play this card in the main deck. That's why I just really like this card. Yeah, it's really good. It's a really good extender. It covers all the ground. It's a tuner. It's everything you need. A zombie, a tuner, everything you need. Next, we play 3 copies of Super Polymerization. Like, I keep saying this, but this is really, like, this is also a very much, like, best card in the deck. It's like the heart and soul of the deck also, because if you just have Zombie World, it turns everything you're on the field into zombies. So sometimes you can actually totally brick, and as long as you draw Zombie World and Super Poly, you're golden. Because you just activate Zombie World, you set the Super Poly, wait for your opponent to summon any 2, like, difficult to get rid of monsters, and you just activate Super Poly and just go into the Draco Necro. Like it's crazy. Like sometimes you just straight up win games like that because they start building their board. They're not worried about your back, or you haven't activated it. Maybe they already enter battle phase. You just activate that and you just get rid of their entire board. And sometimes off the Super Poly, you discard stuff that you want in graveyard like Mizuki and stuff, and the next turn you have just insane follow-up plays. But definitely Super Poly is just absolutely sick in this deck. So we definitely play 3 copies of that. Always max out on Super Poly. 2 copies of Sharonui style Swallow Slash. This is another great card. Basically, tribute a zombie, pop 2 cards on the field, and then you banish a Sharonui monster. The great thing about the banish a Sharonui monster is you can banish a copy of Spirit Master, and when that gets banished, you basically get to pop an additional face-up card on the field. This card can pop anything. This card has to pop face-up. But still, it's very, very helpful. Also, Solitaire also has an effect to add back cards when it gets banished, so cool recovery plays there. This needs a super rare. It needs a rarity bump. It needs super rare, ultra rare, whatever they can do, gold rare, but it can't remain common. 2 copies of Rivalry of the Warlords. This one, again, this is one of those cards. I just don't want to see multiples of this card in my deck, so I play 2. Because sometimes 2 just... You see 2 in your opening hand and it's just like it does nothing. But this card is very good because when Zombie World's on the field, you just wait for your opponent to normal summon anything, you activate Rivalry, and now they're locked basically into zombies. And if they're not playing a zombie deck, they're done. It's a wrap, it's over. So definitely very good card, the Rivalry, because it locks your opponent out of their deck, extra deck, everything but basically graveyard. But again, it's very good against... This card's very good, for example, against Drytrons, because they'll like summon their first Drytron, you activate that, and that's it, they're done. No more ritual spells, no more anything. It's really good against the best deck. It's really good against Tri-Brigade. This deck in general just destroys Tri-Brigade because it turns everything they control into zombies, and now they can't do any of their... Like, they can't banish to summon stuff because they don't have Wing Beasts and all that stuff in the graveyard. So it just destroys them in general. It destroys... This card destroys a lot of... this card destroys a lot of decks. And you can keep playing because your main deck is virtually all zombies, so you can still continue to just abuse Balderok. And he's 28, and he's difficult to get rid of when your opponent can't do anything. We play 2 copies of Infinite Impermanence. This doesn't have to be Infinite Impermanence. You can actually take a more budget angle, and the budget angle might actually be better. But you can play Ghost Mourner. She's also a zombie that basically does what Impermanence does. Impermanence is better in most decks, but Ghost Mourner might actually be better in this deck. You can take either approach here. I like Impermanence because obviously it can negate spawn trap cards. It has some more versatility. You can set it. I like it generally better, but honestly, either one would be completely fine. So that is the main deck. Now let me show you the extra deck real quick, and then we'll get to those combos. So right off the bat, we play 2 copies of Draco Necro. Very good card. Basically, it's just 2 zombies. It's essentially what you're playing it for. It's a super poly target. Field spell turns everything into zombies, and then you get to basically get rid of your opponent's monsters. Non-targeting. As long as they're affected by spells, you can take them. And of course, super poly can't be responded to, so even if they have a Dragoon and a Borload Savage Dragon on the field, you can still super poly, and there's nothing that they can do about it. Because typically your opponent will not negate a Zombie World. Because they'll just be like, whatever, it's just the field spell, it's no big deal, because they'll probably assume that you have other ways to activate it. They don't want to waste the negate. But definitely. 1 copy of Sea Monster of Theseus. This is again from the new Instant Fusion looking card. 1 copy of Starving Venom. This is for going second. There's a lot of dark decks, so very good against that. 1 copy of Formula Synchron. You need this for the combo. 1 copy of TG Hyper Magician. 1 Sharonui Sun Saga. This card's very good. I'll explain these in the combo, so don't worry about it. 1 Baron de Fleur. This is actually another really good new card. It's a level 10 synchro monster. If you don't know, the the Formula Synchron is a level 2, and then the Doom King Balderox is obviously a level 8, so you can go into that. That's just a generic level 10. And then of course the TG Magician and the Artifact Scythe are both level 5, so you can go into this thing. Very good. You can actually go into both of these. There are 2 different options. But it's an Omni Negate. It has an effect to once per turn destroy a card. That's not a quick effect, but the Omni Negate is a quick effect. And then has an additional effect where it can you can return to the extra deck, and you can target a level 9 or lower monster in your graveyard and then special summon it. But that is the synchro monsters. We play 1 copy of Linkariba for the glow up bulb. 1 copy of Relinquished Anima, just in case you're going second, you might need to steal stuff. 1 Phoenix, 1 Vampire Sucker, 1 Avenged Savior. I used to play 2 Suckers and no Savior, but sometimes you go second and Savior is actually really good. It helps play around stuff. It puts a Doom King in grave. 1 copy of Crystron Needle Fiber, one of the most important cards in the deck. Very tough to play zombies without it. And 1 copy of Artifact Dagda. That is it for that. Let's get into the combos real quick. I'll show you 2 different combos. Like I said, if you want to see more combos, let me know in the comments, and I will try to make a longer combo video. But I have like so many. There's so much to do with zombies. I can always do more combos. But I'll show you. There's a combo that lets you draw, and there's a combo that locks your opponent out of the extra deck. I'll show you the draw combo first. What you need for this combo is Unizombie, so this is kind of like the first combo is extremely consistent. You can do it with a lot of different cards in the deck. You can use Solitaire or Unizombie, and then you need either Zombie World or Necroworld Banshee. But you can also do this combo if you draw a copy of Mizuki. So if you draw either of these 2 Mizuki, you can do this combo. It's no big deal. If you draw, there's like endless combinations of things that you can do. Even if you draw like a glow up bloom, it's still fine. Like you can do this. This combo is extremely consistent. So I'm going to show you. I'm going to do this with Necro Banshee and the Unizombie. But like I said, you could do this with just about anything. One of the more consistent combos in the deck. So here's what we're going to do. First, we're going to normal summon the Unizombie. Then we're going to activate the Unizombie to discard the Necroworld Banshee. We're not going to use its effect. That level is now 1 level higher. And we set the Necro Banshee. We're going to activate the effect of Unizombie again, increase its level to send a zombie from our deck to the graveyard. And the monster that we're going to send is a copy of Mizuki. So we're going to send Mizuki to the graveyard. Now we're going to banish the Mizuki to special summon the Necroworld Banshee. We're going to link away the Unizombie and the Necroworld Banshee in order to special summon a copy of Crystron Needle Fiber. Since it's a Needle Fiber is a tuner, since the Unizombie was a tuner, we can summon the Needle Fiber. We're going to activate Needle Fiber, and now we're going to special summon a tuner monster from our deck. That is level 3 or lower. Its effects cannot be activated, but that does not apply to graveyard effects. So we're going to summon the. Let me move these down just to avoid, make it a little less confusing. We're going to summon the Glow Up Bloom. Now we are going to activate the Necroworld Banshee, banish that, in order to activate our Zombie World. Now from here, we are going to link away the Glow Up Bloom to special summon a copy of Linkaribo. And I like having Linkaribos in rotation because if we draw follow-up Glow Up Blooms, we can just summon them from graveyard, summon Linkaribo from graveyard and activate Glow Up Bloom. So now that this got sent to graveyard, we're going to banish it in order to summon a level 5 or higher zombie monster from our deck. And that is going to be the Doom King Ballardrock. And now we can link away the Doom King Ballardrock and the Linkaribo, since they're both zombies because Zombie World, to special summon a copy of Vampire Sucker. And now this looks incredibly unassuming, but I assure you this is actually a fairly good board. We're going to end here, go to our opponent's standby phase. Standby phase, we're going to activate Doom King Ballardrock, special summon it, and since now special summon Vampire Sucker will activate its effect to draw a card. So we'll just draw this. Draw a card. So now we're going to use the effects of, we're going to use our effects of Doom King Ballardrock. You can actually trigger Doom King Ballardrock's effects with various things. Like you can tribute the Crystron Needle Fiber anytime you want, and then you can trigger Doom King Ballardrock since it is a zombie. So you can do various things to trigger the Doom King by yourself. But basically we're going to use the 2 negates of Doom King Ballardrock. But we're going to activate the effect of Crystron Needle Fiber whenever we want to. Activate Needle Fiber, banish it. And then we're going to special summon a copy of Formula Synchron. You have to make sure you don't do this chaining to a card, because if we chain the formula to the effect of a card with Crystron Needle Fiber, Formula Synchron will miss timing. But Formula Synchron gets special summoned to the field. This actually counts. Crystal Needle Fiber makes it so your synchro summon counts as a it counts as a synchro summon. So you get to summon that, and then you get to draw a card. So we'll draw an additional card, and then we can use the quick effect of Formula Synchron to synchro these two away, and we can special summon one of two cards. We can special summon Baroness de Fleur or Baron de Fleur, or we can summon the Sharonui Sun Saga. These two have two different effects. Sharonui Sun Saga has an effect where you can shuffle back zombie synchros into your extra deck, and then you can destroy cards your opponent controls non-targeting. So that is the effect of the Sharonui Sun Saga. That effect, again, is really good because it destroys non-targeting. Or we can summon Baron de Fleur. Basically, like I said, it's an omni-negate. You can negate monster spells or traps. So we already had the negates of the Doom King, so we negated a monster effect, and we banished a card. On top of that, now we have the Baron, and now we can basically negate a monster spell or trap, so we have multiple interruptions. Either one is fine. Also, this has an effect where if a zombie monster would be destroyed by card effects, would be destroyed by battle or card effects, you can banish a Sharonui monster in your graveyard instead, and you can banish like the Solitaire, and then if you banish Solitaire, you basically also get to add back resources, or you can banish the other one. But it's one of those, it's like Thunder Dragon Colossus. You can just banish out of the graveyard and it protects itself. So it's pretty cool. It can protect any zombie monster. So we're going to synchro those two away, and we're going to summon, usually it's Baron because it's just more generic, but either one is perfectly fine. And now we have our third interruption, which is pretty cool. And again, this may not seem like crazy stuff, but remember, this is a 2-card combo. We still have Super Poly, all the other various crazy cards in our deck, the Floodgate Field spell, and we put 3 interruptions, and we draw 2 cards. When our opponent ends their turn, summon the Doom King, draw another card, and then draw for turn, draw another card. So, I mean, the deck just goes super plus when you get the Vampire Sucker and all the stuff onto the field. But that is combo number 2. Real quick, I'm going to show you another combo, because there's one more combo that you can do. I mean, there's tons of more combos that you can do, but I will show you another combo here. Put all of this stuff away. The next combo will lock our opponent out of the extra deck and put up several interruptions. Alright, so for this combo, what you need is a copy of Unizombie and a copy of Mizuki. Again, just very easy to do 2-card combo. We play 3 of each of those. Actually, just to mix it up, instead of Unizombie, I'll use Sharonui Solitaire to show you that you can just do this with other cards. But you could do this with Mizuki, and then Sharonui Solitaire or Unizombie. You could do either combination of any of these cards. Also, you can do this combo. Don't forget, we're playing stuff like Ready Fusion. So you could just, instead of the Mizuki, you could have the Ready Fusion, and that'll help. Like this combo is extremely consistent. Both combos are very consistent. But yeah, I'll do the Sharonui Solitaire and the Mizuki for this combo. So to start this combo, let me grab the pile here. Okay. So to start this combo, we are going to normal summon the Sharonui Solitaire, tribute the Sharonui Solitaire, in order to special summon a copy of Unizombie from our deck. Now we're going to activate the effect of Unizombie to send a zombie from our deck to the graveyard, and then we're going to increase its level by 1. So we are going to send our copy of Gozuki. You only have to play 1, and never banishes itself. When Gozuki hits the graveyard, you can banish the Sharonui Solitaire to special summon the Gozuki to special summon Mizuki from your hand. So Gozuki, banish the Solitaire, and then we're going to, like I said, summon the zombie monster from our hand. Also, if you had Solitaire Sharonui monsters in your graveyard, you can actually add them back at this point. But we don't, but if you did, you could, because Sharonui Solitaire got banished. Now we are going to link these 2 away, the Mizuki and the Unizombie, in order to special summon the greatest of all time, Crystal Needle Fiber. Summon Crystal Needle Fiber, activate Needle Fiber's effect. Needle Fiber's effect will special summon a copy of Glow Up Bloom to our side of the field. You do not want to link that away yet. You leave it there. So we're going to summon Glow Up Bloom. Next, we are going to banish our Mizuki to special summon our Gozuki. Gozuki has an effect once per turn to send a zombie from our deck to the graveyard. We're going to activate that effect. We are going to send a zombie which quite predictably is going to be a copy of Necroworld Banshee. We can activate the Necroworld Banshee right away in order to put Zombie World on our side of the field. Now, we are going to link away the Gozuki and the Glow of Blue in order to special summon a copy of Artifact Dagda. Now we can activate the effect of Glow of Blue, banish it from the graveyard in order to special summon a copy of Doom King Ballardrock from our deck. Now again, this may seem like an unassuming board, but I assure you this is a very good board. Basically, we end our turn here. We go to our opponent's turn. We have the negates from this. Anytime we want, we have a negate and a banish on this card. But what we're going to do is, when our opponent goes into their main phase 1, we're going to activate Crystron Needlefiber, banish it in order to summon a tuner from our... Banish it to summon a tuner from our extra deck. Also, we're going to simultaneously, since a card effect is activated, activate the effect of Dagda to set a artifact monster from our deck. We are going to set a copy of Scythe. So Chainlink 1 is going to be the Crystron Needlefiber. Chainlink 2 is going to be the Dagda. So we're going to set in our back row the artifact Scythe. And then Chainlink 1 will resolve the Crystron Needlefiber to special summon a synchro monster from our extra deck, which in this case will be the TG Hyper Magician. Now, TG Hyper Magician, when it's summoned, will activate its effect and pop a back row. It's a mandatory effect. It has to pop back row. But we will pop Artifact Scythe. When Artifact Scythe gets popped, what happens is... Oops, I dropped my sleeve. When Artifact Scythe gets popped, you can special summon it to your side of the field. And now for the rest of the turn, our opponent is totally locked out of their extra deck. They cannot summon from the extra deck. We locked them out, and we still had 2 negates here, just in case they had any funny business. Activate, they're locked out of the extra deck. Now, we can use the effect of TG Wonder Magician to synchro summon the Scythe and the Wonder Magician to special summon. Again, same story here. We can summon either Baron, or we can summon Sharonui Solitaire. This will allow us to shuffle this back and pop a card, and this... The Baron de Fleur will allow us to basically negate a monster spell or trap to protect our board. Usually, again, this is the more consistent choice, but this is good if your opponent basically, if you lock them out of the extra deck with Artifact Scythe, and then your opponent basically sets one monster and end phase, and sets one monster, goes to end phase, it's better actually to summon the Sharonui Solitaire, because Sharonui Solitaire will basically pop those cards, whatever your opponent sets, and the next turn you can just OTK them. You just flip this to attack, and you have game on board. Here's 35, 28, and 15, and you basically win the game right there. Actually, it's not. It's 200 shy, but you can get 200 more. But yeah, that one's good for if your opponent just kind of gives in with the Scythe, and you can just attack for game. But Baron de Fleur is good because it's just a negate of anything. Again, monster spell trap, and then of course this has an effect once per turn to pop a card. So either way, you are popping a card, whether you're summoning this one or this one. Both of them are good options. But that is basically what you were able to do. You put two interruptions from this, 2 interruptions from this, and then a floodgate on the board, all in one turn. Can't summon from extra deck, banish a monster, negate a monster, and then negate a monster spell or trap. Again, all off of 2 cards. If you had a fuller hand, it would be even better. Like a lot of these boards. Would be, because remember, we're playing this very consistent engine, but everything else is the rest of your hand could have been Impermanence, Rivalry, Swallow Slash, Super Poly, everything just gets better from here on in. Ready Fusion, any number of hand traps that we're playing, this could have been the rest of your hand. So on top of whatever we just did here, you have all of these additional interruptions. And the positive thing is these combos are extremely consistent, because there are multiple cards that can end on any one of these routes, either combo 1 or combo 2. But that is basically it for the deck profile. Like I said before, if you want to see additional stuff, let me know. But for the time being, I think this was very well covered. So thank you for watching, and have a fantastic day.